This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Republicans in Congress are introducing legislation to kill off most EV subsidies at the same time they're adding a new tax to make it more expensive to buy an EV. 15 Senate Republicans introduced a bill yesterday that eliminates the $7,500 federal tax credit for purchasing an EV, the $4,000 credit for buying a used EV, the tax credit for EV charging stations, and the credit for leasing an EV. And a separate bill was introduced that imposes a $1,000 tax for buying an EV that will go towards road repairs. Most repairs are funded through gas and diesel taxes that EVs don't pay. The majority of states have imposed registration fees to EVs to pay for road repair, but not the federal government. The senators say the $1,000 is about the same as what a gas-powered owner pays in federal gas taxes for highway funds over 10 years. If I were Honda, I'd be glad I didn't end up in a merger with Nissan. Honda just reported a 5% improvement in its quarterly operating profit, while Nissan reported a 78% drop. Nissan also lowered its outlook for 2025, the third time it's done so. To boost its factory utilization, Nissan will close 3 plants over the next 2 years, which will eliminate 6,500 jobs on top of another 9,000 jobs that were already announced. It will also start eliminating shifts at other factories, including those in the U.S. All told, Nissan plans to chop 1 million vehicles of capacity, and it's going to get rid of 20% of its executive staff. Even so, Automotive News reports that some analysts don't think it's enough. They think Nissan is just nibbling around the edges instead of taking big bites to deal with its problems once and for all. Another thing that Nissan wants to do is find new partners. Foxconn, the giant Taiwanese manufacturing company, says it's interested, and KKR, the giant U.S. private equity company, says it might be interested too. KKR is doing its due diligence to decide if it wants to invest in Nissan, and if it does, we can expect it to put a lot more pressure on Nissan's management to move a lot faster.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
People are already complaining about the cost to service or repair their cars, but it could get worse. President Trump says he wants to slap a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum from Canada and Mexico. That would immediately raise costs for automakers and suppliers, but consumers would also likely feel the effects of the tariffs. Those increased costs are usually passed down to the consumer in the form of higher car prices. On top of that, the price to import service parts would probably go up, which means that car repairs would be more expensive as well. Those two things would drive up demand and prices for used cars, so the cost to replace a car would go up, which would also make insurance prices higher. And insurance and repair costs were already up this year. The cost to fix a car in January was up 7.4% compared to last year, while insurance prices were up by 11.8%. But as we said the other day when the tariffs were first reported, let's see how this plays out. Trump imposed the same 25% tariffs in his first term, but then dumped them as part of the USMCA free trade agreement. They say that 2025 is the year of the humanoid robot. So could we be on the verge of robots replacing a significant number of factory workers? As we reported earlier this week, Lear Corporation, the giant seating supplier, is in the process of getting rid of 30,000 factory workers and replacing them with robots and automation. Moreover, companies like Tesla, BMW, BYD, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda are all experimenting with humanoid robots, and BMW is already using them in small numbers at its assembly plant in South Carolina. Now comes word of a startup in China that's coming out with a humanoid robot for the automotive sector. A robot company called Galbot teamed up with another called Miracle Automation that specializes in applying AI to factory automation. And that's really saying something since China has some of the lowest labor costs in the world. As the cost of these robots come down, the threat to factory workers goes up, since these robots don't get tired, don't take breaks, don't take vacations, don't go on strike, don't mind working overtime, and can work multiple shifts every single day. Do you remember the woman that made headlines a few years ago by jumping on the roof of a Tesla at the Shanghai Auto Show and shouting about how the brakes fail? Well, the Associated Press has a whole report detailing what led up to that and what followed after. And the AP claims that Tesla is using a legal strategy to defend itself in China that's much more aggressive than any other automaker. It says Tesla has sued customers, bloggers, and Chinese media for being critical of the company, and it almost always wins. Of 14 defamation cases reviewed by the AP, Tesla won 11, 2 are still on appeal, and 1 was settled out of court. It also has similar success when someone tries suing the company. Owners only won 9 out of 81 civil lawsuits against Tesla for safety and quality issues and contract disputes. The AP claims that Tesla has been able to limit its accountability because of support from powerful leaders in China's ruling Communist Party, and it says that some journalists have even been told to avoid negative reports about the EV maker. ZF developed a new heel airbag to prevent serious leg and foot injuries, but it's actually designed for autonomous vehicles. To be more comfortable, people riding in AVs will likely have their seats pushed back further, but doing that makes it harder to protect their legs and feet, which is why ZF created the heel airbag. It says it can be adapted to almost any vehicle without the need for any additional space in the footwell. ZF says the airbag will be available in 2028 for automakers that plan on offering seats with extra comfort positions. And speaking of autonomous vehicles, the CEO of tech giant Baidu, Robin Li, says that robotaxis are safer than human drivers. Baidu currently operates a robotaxi service called Apollo Go in 11 cities in China, and as of November, it's provided 8 million rides. Li says as of today, the robotaxis are 10 times safer than humans, and that its insurance claim rate is only 1/14 of that from a regular taxi or a regular driver. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Knowing that a little rain won't slow down your day, that's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza Quiet Track tires, confident control in wet conditions.